That stare wasn't for the umpire, and it definitely wasn't for crowd. It was a warning shot, and everyone inside Laver Arena felt it instantly. Before Aryna Sabalenka even hit a ball at the Australian Open, the world number one had already made her loudest statement of the night, without saying a single word. Because this wasn't just about tennis. This was about control, authority, and the fine line between modern technology and old-school rules colliding right in front of a global audience. And the most dangerous part is, this moment happened before the match even began. If you missed it, don't worry. Because what followed tells you everything you need to know about why Aryna Sabalenka is not just the most powerful player in women's tennis right now, but also the most intimidating presence on the court. Picture this. The stadium is buzzing. First round. Night session energy. Laver Arena filled with expectation. History literally sitting courtside. Laver himself. Roger Federer beside him. Tennis royalty watching the reigning queen walk out. And then, out of nowhere, the chair umpire steps in. Not about the toss. Not about warm-up time. Not about the balls. About a device. Sabalenka is wearing a whoop. A small, screenless wearable. Something she's trained with countless times. Something many athletes quietly rely on for fitness data, recovery metrics, heart rate tracking. No screens. No coaching. No signals. Just information stored for later. But tennis doesn't care about later. Tennis cares about perception. The umpire tells her it has to go. You can see the moment her expression changes. This isn't confusion. This isn't surprise. This is irritation mixed with disbelief. Sabalenka listens. She doesn't argue. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't delay the match. She turns toward her team. And then comes a stare. Cold, slow, controlled. A look that says, remember this. A look that says, I was ready to fight someone tonight. And now I know who. This is the part that matters. Lesser players would have laughed it off. Others would have complained. Some would have let it seep into their performance. Sabalenka absorbed it, stored it, and walked to the baseline already emotionally loaded. And here's the twist. She immediately gets broken. First game. Broken serve. Against a 20-year-old ranked outside the top 110. Against a player making her way through qualifiers. Against someone who, on paper, should not be touching Sabalenka's serve. For about 5 minutes, the arena goes quiet in a confused way. Not shock. More like, is something wrong? But nothing was wrong. This is where Aryna Sabalenka becomes dangerous. Because pressure doesn't make her smaller. It sharpens her. From that moment on, the match stopped being competitive and started becoming educational. The returns got heavier. The grunt got louder. The footwork got cleaner. The margin disappeared. This wasn't a comeback. This was a correction. 6 games later, the message was clear. You can distract me. You can annoy me. You can interrupt my routine. But you cannot stop me. She takes the first set 6-4, without ever looking rattled again. And then the second set is pure authority. 6-1. Clinical. Almost cold. The kind of tennis that doesn't need celebration, because it assumes the outcome was inevitable. All of this happening with Laver and Roger Federer watching every point. That matters more than people realize. Because Sabalenka admitted it herself. She felt the pressure. She was nervous. She was overthinking where to look, where not to look, how she was being perceived. That's human. But here's what separates champions from legends. Feeling pressure doesn't mean performing poorly. It means performing honestly. And Sabalenka performed honestly. Raw power. Controlled aggression. No theatrics. No overreactions. Just domination. Now let's talk about the wearable, because this isn't a throwaway moment. This is a sign of where tennis is headed and how uncomfortable the sport still is with change. Other sports have embraced data. Tennis pretends it hasn't. But behind the scenes, players are tracking everything. Sleep, recovery, stress, load management. Whoop isn't a cheating device. It's a body awareness tool. The rules don't explicitly allow it during matches, and that's the point. Tennis rules are often written to avoid gray areas, not to adapt to them. So was the umpire wrong? Technically, no. But was the moment unnecessary? Maybe. And did it light a fire under the world number one? Absolutely. Here's my personal take. This wasn't about fairness. This was about optics. The fear that someone at home might think Sabalenka was getting real-time feedback. Even if that wasn't true, tennis protects its image fiercely. Sometimes at the expense of logic. And Sabalenka knows this. That's why she didn't protest. She understands the politics of the sport. She understands that arguing never wins you future calls. Instead, she let her tennis speak. And it spoke loudly. Now look at what's next. Sabalenka faces Chinese qualifiers Wei Bai in the second round. A player riding confidence after stunning Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. A player with nothing to lose and everything to gain. On paper, it's straightforward. In reality, it's dangerous. Because qualifiers play free. They swing big. They don't fear reputations. But here's the thing. Sabalenka loves solving problems. She loves imposing her will. She loves being the test everyone else fails. If she gets through that match, the conversation changes. Because waiting in the wings could be Emma Raducanu. And suddenly, the narrative explodes. Power versus precision. Confidence versus comeback. Two stories colliding at the perfect time. And that's why this first round mattered so much. Not because of the scoreline. Because of the moment before it. The stare. The removal. The reset. Championships aren't just won with forehands. They're won with emotional control. Aryna Sabalenka showed that control before she even picked up a ball. So here's the question I want you to answer in the comments. Was the umpire right to enforce a rule in that moment? Or should tennis modernize and accept wearable tech as part of the game? Because the future of tennis might already be here, and it might be staring back at us just like Aryna Sabalenka did.